Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva, week number 2 of Lent, and I have given up soda. Again, it's just my go-to thing nowadays, just to give up soda for Lent because it's a complex and it's a hard thing to give up, an easy thing to give up, but always in the beginning it's pretty difficult. Now I wouldn't consider myself a gigantic soda drinker. Like, I don't go crazy anymore. When I was young, I used to go crazy. I would have like maybe sleepovers, parties with friends. When I was really young, when I was a kid, I had like maybe 5 sodas a night. Back when I was, young, spry, didn't care what I put in my body, just ate and drank everything that was in my sight. Didn't care about what it was, if it was good for you or bad for you. Now I've kind of weaned off it a little bit, whatever, and I don't really drink it as much. But I will say, every few days, like one soda, one nice ice cold Coke, beautiful. Just like a thing that kind of like lifts your spirits. That little that carbonation hitting your mouth, going down to your stomach, belching after, having a burp. I think it's a beautiful thing. I truly do. Like, soda is one of the things that is super bad when you let yourself loose. I find out when I watch like these, I've seen them a couple times, but these super like super size, not super size, but like My 600-Pound Life, the shows like that, clips on it on YouTube, even just seeing it on the TV a couple times. Like, one of the things that these extremely overweight, in danger of like dying from a heart attack people, what they all consistently do is just drink soda. That's one of the big things that you can tell is just a diet and a health ruiner. Like, soda is like almost like a delicious can of toxins that'll make you sick. Not really, not like sick to your stomach or like give you a virus, but like, it's not good for your body. The amount of sugars that are in that, not good for your body. Now, I'm not a super scientist, so I don't know like if different types of soda are better or worse for you. I've always heard that, a darker soda, like a brown soda, like a Coke or a Pepsi or Dr. Pepper, are worser for you than a Sprite or like a Sierra Mist. I'm not sure if that's completely true or not, but that's what I've heard. That the dark sodas are worser for you, which is kind of a shame because I feel like that's what the majority of us drink in America. We drink the dark sodas because they taste better. I love Sprite. I do. But I think that Coke is just a better soda. And I love Sprite. Like, Sprite is like one of the most like refreshing drinks out there. And it's not good for you. It's a crime when something is so refreshing, so tasty, so pleasant, and it's bad for you. It's so bad. It's one of the worst things ever. But yeah, like I said, it's week 2 of Lent. I'm strong. I'm being strong. Can't lie. A couple days ago, I really wanted a soda. Didn't have one. Thought it was, only a few days in. I'm like, well, I can't quit now. It's going to be tough. I got to be able to endure this process to not drink soda because of how much I want to drink soda. I know I can't do it because, number one, I'll be failing God, right? This is all for God, Lent, right? in the Catholic faith, we emulate his struggles when he went into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights until Easter. And then, was it God or was it Moses? It might have been Moses. Moses going in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. Now I can't remember which one's which. Wow, I'm a bad Roman Catholic. But one of those biblical figures did that for 40 days and 40 nights. And we emulate that by giving something up for 40 days and 40 nights, and also not eating meat on Friday, which is also a hard thing to do. Very difficult. Now, if you're me, one of the things that is a go-to is always a peanut butter jelly sandwich. That's usually what I do when I can't eat meat on Fridays. Maybe I'll make some tuna, maybe something with shrimps. Go the fishy option. But it's always a pretty consistent thing to do, and you don't seem too weird either, because like when I was a kid, I was ashamed at points in my life that I was a Roman Catholic. I couldn't eat meat on Fridays. Everyone who was just a Christian was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, well, this is just what we do, bud. This is what we do. So I've learned as a kid a pretty normal option in the face of your non-Catholic friends is to eat cheese pizza. Now that also can be a very, very good option in adulthood. It's not the hardest thing to do. If you go to a burger place, you got to get the Impossible Burger, or I've seen people sometimes order a burger without the meat because it's Friday during Lent. Now, I'm all for that, but then again, it is a little odd, right? A cheese pizza, however, is on the menu. It's a delicacy. My favorite pizza of all time. So that is a natural option. That is something that you can go to a pizza place, good or bad, on a Friday during Lent and just be like, cheese pizza, give me a cheese slice. And no confusion. No one's looking at you kind of funny. No one's saying, what are you, Catholic? Not like no one really did that to me, but it's always a possibility. You never know out there in the real world. People could say whatever they want. It's their choice, it's their freedom. So if you want to go a little bit of incognito in terms of ordering dinner or lunch when it's Lent, I suggest ordering the old cheese pizza. It'll save you a couple conversations. It will, because a cheese pizza at a pizza place, like I said, is a delicacy and an already a pretty normal menu item. So you don't got to fall into any are you Catholic conversations. If you don't do that, good luck eating. There have been times when I was a kid and even to this day where I forget to make lunch. I didn't plan correctly. It wasn't, it's just like there's nothing to eat. There's nothing to eat at all. There have been days where I would skip lunch. Haven't done it this year. I don't plan to, because those were not fun days. You're trying to praise the Lord, trying to be good in the eyes of Jesus Christ, trying your very best to be like, look at me. I ain't gonna eat that shit. Not today. This is for you, God. I am not going to eat that meat. Hell no. And you hold your ground strongly until you get home, you make dinner, you have a couple snacks that don't have meat, and you live to tell the tale, and you move on to the next day. But let me tell you that, though. Last week, though, we had double whammy those days. Double whammy, no meat days. Obviously, Ash Wednesday, no meat. Friday, no meat. 1 is hard enough. 2 is tough. 2 is something that, you think that it'll be fine. As Lent approaches, you're like, oh, I'm good. This is going to be totally fine. And then it comes up on you. and it sneaks up on you. And you're like, wow, I did not prepare for this whatsoever. I have no idea what I'm going to eat. No idea whatsoever. As much as like our meals in America are not primarily meat focused. Like meat is not like the biggest thing usually on, well, some things, yes. But on like most things, like meat is always just in it. It's not like the big grand thing that we have on our plate. Like if you think about it, American lunch is probably like a cheeseburger, fries, and a soda, right? There's only like one piece of meat in that entire burger. The fries have no meat. The soda is no meat. But everything in America has somewhat of meat in it. Meat product, meat itself. Like a pepperoni pizza is a giant, flat surface of bread and cheese and then just little pepperonis on there, right? But that counts as meat, so you got to work your way around a bunch of things, One of my favorite meals to eat, though, I think, when practicing Lent or when doing Lent is tuna. Tuna sandwich, always hits the spot, It's a thick fish, so you get that good, like, meat substitute, and it tastes good. And you're never like, oh, man, I wish I never ate that. That sucked. Tuna's good. Tuna is a good fish to eat. Isn't that weird how we can eat fish, but we can't eat meat? I think that might have been a commercial thing that, people just decided to, make sure that the fishing business was not going under. The fishing companies were not going to get left out because there was a day where there was no meat consumption, but, it'll give a day to the fishing company to, make a profit. Because everybody's going to be buying like some kind of fish product, whether it be, in a can, fillets, sticks, don't matter. Going out to eat at a fish restaurant, maybe some sushi. That'd be actually a really cool thing to do, is to go to a sushi restaurant during Lent. I can't imagine like how many people, like the workers are going to be like, oh, you're here because of Lent? And I'll be like, yeah, can't eat meat today. If I could, I wouldn't be here. But I'm here. Not to say like I don't like sushi. I like sushi a lot. I think it's pretty good. But I'm putting myself in the shoes of the sushi worker at the sushi restaurant. Like, I bet you like they get like a lot of influx of Roman Catholics coming to the sushi restaurant on a Friday and like saying like, oh, sushi, huh? Are you Catholic? I'm pretty sure they don't say that, but I can only imagine they think it, They're probably going out through the day, the year is passing, Christmas is over, January is, already going to be done. February hits, so like, all right, boys, it's about that time of year. We're going to get all these Catholics coming in on Fridays because those fuckers can't eat meat. So be ready to cut some yellowtail and fill them up to the gills because they're coming hungry. I can only imagine, like, if you had a sushi restaurant and you would probably have you would have to have so many promotional items at that sushi restaurant because it is Lent. Why the hell do you think that Arby's, McDonald's, and all these other chain restaurants that are corporate American restaurants advertise a fishy sandwich when it's this time? They always do that every year. There's always an Arby's like classic Arctic cod sandwich that's being advertised, or like a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish that's advertised, especially now that it's Lent. You would think that these other restaurants that, particularly sushi, who primarily serve fish, would not take advantage of being like, yo, Friday night's Catholic night at the, bento box. Come down and get your fish. All you can eat sushi. Come on down. I would imagine they'd have to have a field day with these guys, even on Wednesday too. They'd be looking out the window looking for fuckers with with black shit on their forehead, being like, "Hey, come in, get over here." I'm just kidding. That's ash. I know. I'm just joking around. Looking for the ashes on the forehead. Like, get in here. Come on. You know you want some. And like I said, I like sushi. As a food, not having to only eat fish. I enjoy it quite a bit. So if I was, taking a stroll on like an Ash Wednesday or Friday during Lent, and I saw you get a one sushi roll, you buy one sushi roll, you get one for free for Lent. I'd be like, all right, sign me up. I'm going in. I want this right now. What a deal. What a steal, actually. Yeah, I would be there all the time. Like, hey, I mean, like, I know Lent's over. Like, at the point when, like, Lent's over, you're like, but can I still get that one roll, get one free? That'd be pretty tight. That'd be pretty awesome. But it's going well. It's going well. I think I'm going to get a little bit more creative, though, with what I'm allowed to eat. Last year I really started to make some tuna melts, which are pretty good. I don't know if you ever had a tuna melt before, but they're pretty solid. Not the biggest fan of shrimp pasta, though, if I'm being honest. I prefer like a chicken Alfredo to a shrimp Alfredo if I had to pick. I also think that another good place to go would be like a seafood boil. That would be incredible. I'm already a huge fan of seafood boil as it is. Any place I go to, I make a fool out of myself and I just destroy whatever's in front of me, whether it be crab, shrimps, or like catfish for some fries. I mean, like that, to me, seafood boil is one of the best meals you could eat during Lent. Because not only do you think that it's delicious food, which it is delicious food, but seafood boil to me is a meal when you sit down and you see what you have in front of you, and it comes in a gigantic bag of spices and flavor. They give you some lemon juice, and they give you some salt and pepper to dip your fish in there. It is, to me, some of the most best flavorful tasting foods out there. It might not be the fillingest because obviously it's fish. It just isn't that filling. But if you add some fries into that, maybe some fried and breaded catfish in there, it's delicious. I think so. I mean, I can't really see myself going to it quite often because it is a tad expensive, I will say. Seafood boil is something that is of a luxury. I've learned to I've learned about that. It is not something that is, that you can go pretty much like every day of the week or a few times a week. It can get pretty expensive, which is crazy. But it's also depending on what you order. But if you want the good stuff, if I'm being honest, like the crab, maybe some lobster, and a good amount of it, it's going to cost you some money, which is kind of bad. It's kind of sucks because they charge for the pound, and a pound ain't that much food, if I'm being honest. A pound is like I don't know, a nice good sized portion, right? It's a good amount of food, but usually with seafood boil, you're probably going to go with a group of people, at least maybe 4 to 6 people minimum, right? Maybe even more. And you got to share all that food, It just can rack up the bill pretty quickly. And then, as experience of seeing the menus and going there and ordering food and being like, yo, like, this shit is hella good. It's delicious. It's fish. It's not like the most terrible thing for you. And it's like, oh man, look at this. Look at this, man. Look how much it costs. For some reason, man, I just like, as I'm talking about this, like, fish is kind of healthy, right? Like, fish has to be one of the more healthier things that you can consume as a person who eats meat or eats fish. Like, I don't know, like, if like a cut of fish has any fat on it. Like we talk about, like, or you probably have seen if you made any type of meat, but like pork and beef and even chicken have like lines of fat on them, which are not like the best thing for you to eat, even though I love it because it adds flavor to the meat. But like I feel like a fish, like a cut of fish, like maybe a cod or a salmon or a halibut, ain't got no fat on it. Now I could be completely wrong, but I'm just talking out my ass right now. But I just feel like fish has no fat on it. Like, do fish even get fat, or are they just big because their species of fish is big? Like, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I'm not an animal expert. But I think that the only fish out there that has fat on it, and it's not even really a fish, but a whale. A whale has fat. A whale has blubber, which is weird to me because it's like we just made up a new word to use on a giant animal like a whale to emphasis that they have a lot of it. Like it's a lot of it in mass. Like when you hear the word blubber, like I think that you automatically think of something that's massive and fatty. And obviously that's a whale. So whoever made up that word or decided to associate that word with the fat on a whale is a genius, because now I only think of like when I hear the word blubber, I think of a whale. And I just feel like, wow, okay, they nailed that one. I mean, there's other animals out there that are super fat. Elephants, hippopotamuses. You never hear that word cross over to that side of the animal kingdom. You say that this elephant is fat, or is very fatty, or has a lot of fat. Same with the hippo, he has a lot of fat. You never hear anyone say that the hippo or the elephant has blubber. Only the whale. Why is that? Is the blubber different than fat? What makes it different? Is it more like jelly-like? Is it tougher? Is it like gristle? You guys ever have like a steak and you think you're eating a nice, delicious piece of fat, but it's just like the most chewiest thing that you've ever put in your mouth, and you spit it out immediately, and you're like, this is not good shit. Don't eat that. That's what gristle is, I'm pretty sure. And that part is just god awful. You don't eat that. You never do. That's what I'm kind of thinking, that blubber is something like that. But then again, why is it only associated with whales and aquatic mammals? Which I'm pretty sure there's only one aquatic mammal out there, and that is the whale. So, and the dolphin. But dolphins are athletic whales. So athletic whales, which are dolphins, don't have any fat because they're so athletic, because they swim super fast. And then dolphin dive and jump and shit. I don't think I've ever seen like a fat whale. Like, I don't know if a whale or a dolphin is even capable of being that fat. And I'm pretty sure you can't even eat dolphin. You can't consume dolphin. That might not be true, but I don't think I've ever seen like any TV show like about food, whether it's with Guy Fieri, Andrew Zimmerman, rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain, even back then, Gordon Ramsay. I don't think I've ever seen like any culinary show where the person is chowing down on some dolphin. I don't think I've ever seen that in my entire life, if I'm being completely honest. Like, whale, yes, I've seen people eat whale on TV. I've seen some people eat shark on TV. I know that, I think in like the Asian world, shark fin is a delicacy. Like, it's like in a soup, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't eat it, here in the United States. I've only seen it in like TV shows, where in Asia, I think they do this. I'm pretty sure they do. If not, somebody else does. Because I've seen some people on some show eating a soup, or was it a broth, with a shark fin in it, and that was like a delicacy. But I've never seen any show or anywhere eat dolphin. Now, why is that? Why do we think that? Is it unethical? Is the meat bad? Does it not taste good? If I was to think about that, if I was to really put my mind to it, I think that dolphin we probably think that the dolphins are too smart and too similar to us that we feel bad if we eat them. You know, a dolphin to us is an animal. It's an animal. You know, it's an aquatic animal. It's a mammal. But it's not like at all, you know, equal to us, you know, with, mentally, brain capacity, smarts. It's not as smart as a human, you know, in that capacity. But, you know, I think it's like the closest animal that is like I guess on paper, you know, with the brain power closest to us. I think even outsmarting a chimp. I believe so. I could be wrong, but I think that the dolphin is smarter than a chimp. But I think that maybe because we have them so high on the educational scale that they're almost too much on the same level playing field mentally as we are, that we think that, oh, maybe we shouldn't eat them. Because we eat sharks, and those fuckers are dumb as fuck. Like, we eat like a halibut or a tuna. Those fuckers are dumb as fuck too. And they're not like goldfish dumb, but they're pretty fucking dumb. Like, right? Like, I feel like we just like as a species, mankind just eats whatever is dumber, you know, than us. I mean, we're not going to eat other humans. That's just cannibalism. But I think that, you know, when we were discovering who we are as a species and what we could eat and what we couldn't eat, one, we would see what tastes the best, what also digests better, you know, in our tummies, what's not going to make our tummy wummy sicky wicky, and what's been more beneficial for us nutrients wise, what actually gives us more energy than, you know, the other things. And I think, you know, that all these animals that we consume on a day-to-day basis, like cow, pig, chicken, those are the big three in this country. Those animals won out against like a bison or a leopard or even a deer in terms of efficiency of keeping us healthy, keeping us full of energy, and the fact that we don't feel as bad as killing them and eating them for, us to survive. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I would not ever in a million years want to kill and eat an elephant. Like, I think that elephants are probably my favorite animal of all time and probably the most beautiful animal that ever walked the earth. Like, the way it looks is heroic, gargantuan, majestic, but also like soft and gentle and friendly and loyal. Like, I used to watch this like these YouTube videos. They weren't like on TV, but they were just like YouTube videos from some channel on YouTube, and, you know, very, very good like nature videos of like some, you know, like an elephant sanctuary where they would like, you know, save like rescue elephants and just like nurture them back into strength and then release them into the wild. I think it was like maybe like in Indonesia, maybe India. I can't remember where it was. And there was also some in Africa too. My God, like the elephant is such a beautiful animal. Like the way that they mourn when an elephant from like their family or their colony dies, and they don't forget that the elephant died. Like they have a memory that they know that elephant was important, and that they mourn the death of that elephant is just so crazy. Like I don't think any other animal does that, really. Like not even dolphins do that, but elephants, like that whole like that entire like folklore of like they never forget, like that shit's actually kind of true. After watching these videos, I'm like, dude, like these guys are so like, I mean, their boy just died, but they got his back still. Like they're gonna remember this boy for the rest of their lives. Like elephants are so badass, man. Like I would never ever like want to actually kill an elephant. It would be so heartbreaking. I would want to, man, I guess, having an elephant as a pet would be freaking amazing. I know it's not the ethically great thing to do because elephants should be with other elephants. But dude, if like that elephant that I have is like, actually my friend, and lets me like ride him, and lets me like, play with him, and lets me like, he like puts his leg in a position where I can like hop on him and like ride on him like a horse. Like that would be so cool. Like that'd be one of like the coolest things that you could ever do as a person, as a human. Like the bond between an elephant and a mankind and elephant, like that would be insane. I think so. I don't know. That's just, I mean, that is a beautiful, beautiful animal. That one of the most beautiful that probably have ever existed is an elephant, in my opinion. All elephants, African, Indian, like they're just beautiful creatures. I love them. I love them. But, back to the point what I was making, about what we picked and what we chose was the best foods for us to eat as a species in terms of meat, animal meat, hunting and eating. We probably just had to like, find which animal could we domesticate to the best of our abilities to herd them and to have like a supply of meat, right? Obviously, I don't know where cows came from. Either it was from here or Europe, not too sure. Or, how we, domesticated them we're able to keep them in like ranches and stuff, and, endless supply of beef, essentially. I know it's not endless, but like what it seems to be like an endless supply of meat. Easier to herd. Cows are much easier to wrangle, to get control over. I mean, I don't think that we can have that same amount of confidence and control over like a pack of deer or like a big old herd of deer. That might be a little tough to do. Deer also, are more of like a forest animal, so they're not really like in like prairies or plains like cows can be. Chickens are, a smaller animal that can't really, outrun us, as easy as we probably think, but, are able to be maintained. That's how I think that, we had to pick and choose between like a quail or a chicken. Which one could we, catch faster and easier? Probably was a chicken. And then pork, we probably just needed like a big unit, a big animal of something that was edible, that stores a lot of fat, that you can get, pretty damn fat. You can get like pork chops, tenderloins, pulled pork, bacon, pork belly, anything. I think that the pig is like the most versatile animal that we butcher. A pig, while not being my favorite meat of all time, that is cow, is the most versatile. I mean, you can get so much out of one pig. Chicharrones, bacon, like I said, bacon bits. So much stuff is used from a pig, that we use as food. It's crazy. What's also kind of weird, though, is that pig skin is the closest animal's skin that is closest to us. Like, that's insane. I've never even touched a pig. I've seen pigs in person, but I've never touched a pig in my life. I think if I was to like pet a pig and see how they feel, like how it compares to like my skin, I might be really freaked out. I might like feel it and be like, oh no, like this is not good. They even like use pig's blood in like in movies. I think they use pig's blood in movies because it's like the most like it's the closest to look like human blood when they want to like make it like realistic or make it as real as possible. I'm pretty sure that they use pig's blood. I think I saw that in a movie once. I can't remember, but that was like, if I was to pet a pig and have like that realization, like, oh, this guy feels like just like me, I think I'd be sick to my stomach, if I'm being honest. I was recently watching this documentary. It's on Netflix. It's called Chimp Empire. And I've seen one episode, and what it is essentially is it's following like this colony, this community actually of chimpanzees that live in Uganda in Africa, and they shows them how they're like a unit, like they're like all one, they follow an alpha, how that alpha, like, gains control over the chimps and gains respect in a sense at the top of the pecking order in that colony of chimps, and how he, like, shows dominance, and how others try to, take the throne from him by, trying to, sway these other chimps into thinking that this guy is stronger than the guy who's already in power. Kind of cool, pretty really interesting documentary. I'm only one episode in, but I mean, I'm like this is so cool, because chimpanzees have always fascinated me. They've always been like how like that there's like that evolutionary blueprint of like how like we became who we are. There's always like a monkey and then like a chimpanzee, or it's like some kind of primate that's like on all fours, which is like a chimpanzee, then like a standing monkey, and then like a caveman, and then a human being. That evolutionary thing that you see in like cartoons and movies, and I think they even had it like in school at one point, but like it was just a diagram of like evolution, right? And I always thought to myself, like, well, I guess, that is, that could be true, but also like, how come we're still the way that we are, but they're still monkeys? That I think that was a little bit of a, that diagram was created when we didn't have enough like knowledge of like, essentially like how we really came from. Was it evolution? Was it like a creationism, like, like in the Bible and stuff like that, or what was it? I don't know. That's a mystery. But anyways, my point is like, chimps are so like close to us. Like, watching this documentary, I haven't like seen like any like HD videos or photos of like chimpanzees in this, high quality, like on this Netflix documentary, in a long time. I don't normally watch like Animal Planet stuff or like this type of nature stuff that much, but when I was watching this and I saw like the detail, the way the chimpanzees looked, like their features, like their the one of the ones that really got me was their fingers on their hands. Like, if you looked at their fingers and then you look at yours, it was like a little mind blowing. It's like, holy shit, these guys are so similar to me and you. Like, I could not believe it. And then you saw their ears. And to me, I was like, also like, whoa, like that. I mean, like those ears are like super massive, but still very similar to us. Like it kind of like was like a little bit of a shock. Like, I knew that they were similar to us. I knew that we share like 98% of the DNA between us and chimps, but like I was just like, dude, like these guys look too much alike, like us. Like, I can't even imagine like if chimps were like a fraction smarter than what they are now, I truly do think, guys, we would be living in a Planet of the Apes. I really do, because I mean, those motherfuckers, man. Chimpanzees are, as much as I find it very much I'm very intrigued by them and their lifestyle and how similar they are to us. Those fuckers are strong as shit, and they can probably overthrow all of us if they wanted to, if they were like a fraction smarter, like if they were like sentient and could like really like, fully have like full on development, developed conversations between each other and plan and plot and do this and think about tomorrow and, in the future, like what's their goal, if they have like a futuristic goal, like where they want to be within a week, and how they could like, turn against us and essentially wipe us off the face of the planet. Like, I think about like Planet of the Apes, how like, ever watch those movies? The apes are just, biologically, they're just stronger than human beings. Like, we cannot fist fight a chimpanzee. A chimp would beat us like instantly. Like, we have no shot of defeating chimps in hand-to-hand combat. If those fuckers were ever to wage war against us, we would hope to God that our weapons and our, defense systems could hold, because if it got down to the nitty-gritty, if it got to bare bones, if it got to just, my army versus your army in hand-to-hand combat, dude, give it to the apes. the chimps would beat us. There's no shot that we would be able to hold our own against an army of chimps. No way. We would. I mean, they're just so strong. I mean, you hear about those stories, right? When people who own chimpanzees and bad things happen, the dude gets murdered or like their face gets ripped off. Like, those fuckers are so strong and they don't care, right? Because they're freaking animals, you know? But I'm saying, like, if they were like a fraction smarter than what they are now, and they were like, you know what, I've had enough of these human beings. I've had enough of them. They've been smarter than us our entire lives, but now we're almost there. And you know what? We're gonna overthrow them. I mean that would be a horrible reality. That would be horrible. I mean, because as human beings, we've always viewed ourselves as always being at the top. From the moment we were born, and all these people that are living today, from the moment we are born into like nothing besides another human can really harm my life. Nothing on this planet can, do anything to me besides another human being. I am in no position to be, hunted down by chimps, attacked by an alligator, hunted by a lion. Like, none of that is in our brains when we are born, when we are growing up. Chimpanzees, other animals, have that fear all the time, have that concern probably all the time, like something could kill me today. I could be eaten today. Me and you, we virtually don't have that thought ever pop into our minds ever. We've been born at the top of the food chain. We have had no struggle. We have been, at the top of the food chain for our entire lives. No one is hunting us. We're not being hunted as a species. We have no recollection of that. Recollection, whatever. We don't know that. Imagine if we actually had another, type of humanoid that hunted us. Then that would be terrible, terrible life to live. Because we would think about it too much. As human beings, we think enough for ourselves, but we think even more. We overthink. I'm pretty sure these chimpanzees think about, the other chimps that are rivaling, their colony. But they probably don't think too much about, that much after that. We think too much. If we had like someone else, another humanoid that was hunting us, and we wouldn't be able to live our lives the way that we do. Not at all. I mean, it feels good to be at the top of the food chain. I'll tell you that. It feels good. I don't want to be, something that can be like hunted. I don't want to be hunted by anything. That would be terrible. We don't want to live in that life. But yeah, this documentary is sick. But if, these chimps were just a little bit smarter than what they are now, I can be, very confident like that. We would probably not last very long. We would be under a Planet of the Apes, like, for sure. I mean, we could probably make a few efforts. We can probably, maybe try to negotiate with them. But, like, in terms of, like, strength and brute force, like, we would not last a second against chimpanzees. No way, no how. Maybe, if we think about it, like, what if, like, the chimps were smarter and they had, they could feel more emotional. Would they not, in that fact, want to kill us? Would they kind of want to be like us, be with us, and maybe not, wage war against us? I don't know. But, like, if they were to turn on us, if they were to get smarter and be like, you know what, fuck these humans, and just kill us, they definitely could. And so it's wild to think about it, but it's true. Over this weekend, I decided to get into, I guess I decided to cave. I got Helldivers 2. I got it on my PlayStation 5. And while it's a very fun game, it's very fun. And it's only fun with your friends, though. If you're just playing by yourself, it's not fun at all. If you're playing with your friends, it's an entirely different experience. It's a very fun game. It's so much fun. It's over the top. It's action packed. It's very athletic. It's super fun. It's not like too like competitive. It's not too like stat based. It's not like Call of Duty with all these guns attachments and all that make your gun better. It's not like that right now. There's just like set guns that you use. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun. It's fun to kill time. It's a fun game. However, there's one issue. The servers. The game is like not really, the servers are not there yet. I mean, I've played like maybe 3 times in the past like 4 days, not because I didn't want to play it, but because I couldn't load in a few days. It would take like me like 40 minutes, then I had to quit. I'm like, you know what, I just can't keep waiting. I want to play something else. And what I mean by like taking days and waiting 40 minutes is like I would be actually like in the game, right? The game would be loaded, but I would be at the very beginning of the game, at the opening title screen of just like it's saying loading in, retrying. I would just be at the home screen of the game, not being able to actually play the game. So that's what I mean by not being able to get in. Like the game opens up, but you just can't play it. It's been like one of the most infuriating things, but also like I guess I understand why. I mean the Sony and the developer that they came out saying like we did not expect for Helldivers 2 to be this like popular, this successful out of the gate like this. I understand that. It's a good problem to have. I mean, like, you got to admit like that the developers and Sony are probably like, you know what? I know that we're struggling really bad with our servers right now, and we can't really get a lot of people to play the game. But once we get our servers fixed, I don't know when that will be, people will love it. And they already are loving it. Like, and I was on the fence about it, like I said last episode. I was super on the fence because I just didn't want it to be like a grindy game. And I think that this game has like enough in it to where it doesn't get repetitive. The maps are different. The enemies are different. The difficulties are also different. And, the stuff that you can get in the game is, I think, rewarding enough that where you don't feel bad that you're not spending money and you're not feeling like you're left out because you choose not to spend additional money, on like cosmetics and like skins and all that. It doesn't feel that like it's like I'm missing out, which is a good thing because I was hoping that it wasn't going to be like I was praying it wasn't going to be like Avengers or Destiny or any of those other grindy games where you essentially have to, spend money to make it a good experience. I think that this game on its own is a good enough experience and a fun enough one too. And the fact that when you get all 4 players, man, I mean, it's really, really fun. It's fun to be, in the shit with your boys, fighting off these bugs and these robots. It's actually more fun than I thought it would be. The gunplay is also very fun too. Like the gunplay and your abilities to call like airstrikes and all this stuff is like it's an awesome game to play. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be like some super candy ass game or some wimpy ass shooter. It knows what it is, and it knows what it is indefinitely, and it goes hard, and I appreciate that about this game. So I was on the fence about it. I said it was going to be $40, and so far, besides the server issues, I'm not regretting it one bit. Not one bit whatsoever, which is good because, in this day and age, with the, Game Pass exists, you can just get, a lot of games essentially for free and play them on Game Pass. But this one, a traditional release on Xbox, or not on Xbox, on PlayStation and on PC, $40. It was a good purchase. I was pleased actually. Didn't think I would be, but I was seeing too many people online having fun. I was seeing way too many people who played it, posting it on YouTube, having too much fun. I saw too many good things about this game, even from my friends who played it, and say like, dude, this is really fun. I saw too many of that for me to be like, am I being tricked? It was like a unanimously, this game is the shit. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to get it. And I did, and I don't regret it. I also, this past week, went to go see Dune. I went to go see Dune again in theaters, part 1 from 2021, which I did see in theaters when it came out because I wasn't going to bitch out and not watch it in theaters, even though it came out on HBO Max on the same exact day. I'm like, fuck that. This movie deserves me to go watch it in theaters. Fuck the studio. I'm going to go support Denis Villeneuve. And rewatching it again, I mean, I already love Dune. I love Dune. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I think it's one of the best epic sci-fi movies that have come out in the past 10 years. That movie alone, Dune. And I thought that, when the opportunity came, it was going to be back in theaters, like a reissue of Dune. I was like, you know what? I got to see this. This has to be seen again. And I went with my brother and my mom, and we just, watched it, and we're like, oh yeah, this movie is a fucking shit. Like, Dune is great. All these fucking sissy lalas that haven't seen it are slacking. All these sissy lalas that don't like it are just blind, because Dune rocks. I mean, Dune is like not just one of the better science fiction movies in the past 10 years, but it's one of the better movies to come out within the past at least 5 years. It's just such a good movie. Like, it's hard for me to watch this movie and not enjoy every single piece of it. It is a movie that it doesn't waste a single second, in my opinion, lollygagging or wasting time. It just goes, right? You get the plot, you get the characters, you get the scenario, you get the situation, you get what's got to be done, and you're like, let's get it. Along with great actors and great cinematography and incredible effects and incredible music, incredible sound design. I mean, we saw this movie in a not so big theater. It wasn't the biggest theater. It wasn't a new movie. I mean, like, the new movies that came out, like Madam Web, are going to get the biggest theaters because they're opening, right? The studios are paying the theaters to keep that movie in the biggest theaters possible, right? Dune has been out for 3 years, almost 3 years. There's no shot that this movie was going to get like a big, gigantic theater to screen it, right? So we saw it in a tiny little theater. And I'll give you this, man. I'll tell you this. That theater, though it was small, it was mighty. It sounded incredible. It sounded like I was in an IMAX theater. I ain't going to lie. Maybe a fraction quieter than an IMAX theater, but my God, I was impressed of what that little theater was able to pump out. It was a treat. I saw it on a weekday. I saw it on Thursday. I had work the next morning. I was like, fuck this. Let's go watch Dune. And my God, dude, I said it before. I'll say it again. Dune is like one of the most perfect movie theater movies to ever watch. It was built to be viewed on the big screen. You cannot get the full satisfaction of watching Dune on your TV. I'll say it as someone who has seen it on their TV, who streamed it on their TV after I saw it in theaters. It does not do the film justice to watch it only on your little TV. You must see this in theaters. And after the movie, we got a sneak peek of Dune Part 2, which I'm incredibly excited to see. I mean, like, this is going to be one of the biggest movies of the year. It might be, actually, with all the hero films not coming out this year. I think it's only Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that this might be the year where this movie is not only the biggest movie of the year, but also possibly brought back into theaters within the same year to rewatch it. I mean, I've heard snippets, I've seen headlines of what people are calling Dune Part 2. They're calling it incredible, and I'm like, I'm pretty much foaming at the mouth to see this film right now. Like, I need Dune Part 2 injected into my veins right now. Like, I know I'm only like about a week and a half away from seeing it, but like, I am super excited to see this. And after this sneak peek that we saw with, with the cast and the director, Denis Villeneuve, I mean, like, I just can't wait. And, before we saw the actually the clip of the sneak peek, he said, "Long live cinema." And I was like, this is my guy right here. Like, this is my dude. Denis Villeneuve is my dude. Like, this guy gets it. He knows what I want. I want these big, gigantic films that are not comic book or superhero. I want a film from Denis Villeneuve on a property and on a story that he actually gives a shit about. And I want him to put his entire heart and soul into it. And from what he was saying in this sneak peek, and what I've been seeing him from interviews and all this stuff and articles, this dude gives a shit. And you can't help but smile when you see a dude like Denis Villeneuve be like, "Long live cinema." Like, I mean, like, that brings me to tears. I was smiling once he said that. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Someone actually gives a shit when making these giant movies. Someone cares. Because all the big movies you see now are just comic book, and Marvel doesn't give a shit. DC, I don't know. Maybe they will under James Gunn. But it was so refreshing to see. And to see that movie in theaters yet again, it was, what an experience. I mean, like I said, like I love that movie. Every part of that movie is, to me, perfect. And I'm looking forward heavily to Dune Part 2. Absolutely blow my mind, hopefully. Last thing I'll talk about before I get out of here is everybody is clamoring, praying, hoping, and just like saying no more of the NBA All-Star game. And listen, I gotta say something first. I did not watch the live All-Star game this year because, frankly, I have not been caring about the NBA All-Star game for the past, like, maybe 5 years. And I ended up watching a lot of the highlights because that's all there is. There isn't really much of a necessity to watch the full game from start to finish. And on the highlights that I was seeing, I was very, very happy that I did not tune in live to watch this, because if I did, I would have probably stopped watching after like the first like minute and a half because of the lack of effort that went into this game on these players. I understand that it's a game that is meaningless, a game where all the best players in the NBA go to face off against one another, East versus West. I like that format. But to see the totally lack of effort from these players in a game that doesn't matter, that we shouldn't even care about in the first place, is hard to watch. And I was watching like, videos of like showing like crowd reactions and bench reactions to how bad defenses were playing against these offenses. And it was just like, it seemed like the entire thing was just a waste of time, which, for me benefits me because I did not watch it live. But even seeing the highlights, seeing what had transpired, I was like, oh, thank God I did not see this. Thank God I was not a part of this, that I did not sit down and watch this and I didn't waste any time, because it was just atrocious. Like, no one needs to see that. I thought that the Pro Bowl like 5 years ago was bad. This is much worse than that ever was. You know, it's hard to say because at the Pro Bowl, before they changed it up, they were essentially still playing a game of tackle football, air quotes. They didn't tackle anybody at the end, but, still, I mean, football is a much more dangerous sport than basketball. It's just a fact. But seeing how little effort that these dudes put in on the NBA All-Star game, it'll make you sick. It made me sick to my stomach. I was like, there ain't no way that anyone actually sat through this whole shit and was like entertained the whole time. I get it. You get to see the stars of the NBA, all in one space, compete, air quotes, competing to win this game, right? It's cool to see Steph Curry and all those guys, right? I get it. I understand that. But I feel like, once the glitz and glamour is done and they've got their praise of being all-stars and they got the accolade to add for this year, I think that at that point they don't care. Like, they don't care to compete, air quotes, in that all-star game. They just got the nomination. They got in as an all-star. That goes into their career accolades. They're good. And then they don't give a shit. They're like, all right, I'm an all-star. Yeah, cool. That's it. I'm done. I don't got to compete. I don't got to show shit because I'm already in it. I'm an all-star. I don't know. I just thought it was just mediocre. Bad. Like, we probably should not ever play an all-star game ever again after this performance. And if you do, you got to have a cash incentive. Give them a reason to compete, because there was no reason whatsoever this year, and my God, it showed. I cannot tell you how many times that players were just going to the basket, unchallenged, unchecked, dunking at will. Disgusting. Like, how does that even get airtime on TV? It was bizarre. It was hard to watch. It was disgusting. It was shameful. It was shameful. Like, the players involved, if they ever see those highlights, which they probably will never watch, but if they ever were to see that and see how bad they looked on TV in front of what I would assume is, millions, they'd be like, oh my God, we really just robbed these people of a show. Like, this is awful. This is terrible. What do we do? Probably should end it. I think that this year, after this past year's All-Star game, they need to really look at it and see what they can possibly do to revamp it, change it, maybe even stop it for a while, because it was all bad. The 3-point contest is like the best thing they got. The slam dunk contest is the worst thing, probably even worse than the All-Star game. It's just like, who can dunk over the tallest person, and that's it. And a bunch of people that you don't want to see dunk either way. Like, you want to see LeBron James dunk, but that guy's not going to do it. So, now we just got a bunch of dudes that you barely even know dunk, that do some pretty cool dunks, but for the most part, they're trying to do a dunk that's too high for them, that they can't do. Too many takes. It just becomes annoying. Like, we don't want to watch that. Come on. So maybe, the All-Star game, All-Star weekend should probably be put on hold or severely rehauled. I mean, the best one that they got right now is the MLB All-Star game, because the Home Run Derby is pretty much unbeatable. The All-Star game, even in baseball, is not that bad. It's more competitive than basketball. It's just I feel like, I never would have thought that the basketball NBA All-Star game would fall this low in terms of quality, but it has. And it's not even because that they're not trying to try, but they don't want to try because they're lazy. They don't want to try because they already got the nomination. They already got in to be an all-star, and now they don't want to try. They just care about social media and shit, and that's it. And I know I sound like an old man, but I feel like, after seeing what I saw from highlights, I was like, how could they possibly continue putting this crap year after year? It's only going to get worse from here, too. unless they make a complete change. Hopefully they do. They really should. But knowing the NBA, they're probably too lazy to do anything that's going to be actually beneficial to the fans. The in-season tournament was pretty cool. I can't lie, that was pretty intense. Maybe just give them a cash incentive to make it so they have to try, because if you don't, it's just not going to be good. It's going to be more and more bad. All right, that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week.